Picture this. It's the year 117 AD, and you're standing in Rome at the height of its power. The Colosseum gleams in the sunlight. Aqueducts pour fresh water into a city of more than 1 million people, and Roman roads stretch across continents. Now jump to 1911, and you're in London. The British Empire rules a quarter of the planet and governs over 400 million people. Fast forward again to 1945. American soldiers march through liberated Paris, and the United States stands ready to dominate the next half-century. Here's the unsettling thought. At every one of these moments of peak confidence, the seeds of collapse were already sown. And what's even stranger, each empire, from Rome to Britain to America, shared the same 5 hidden patterns leading to decline. Empires don't fall because of bad luck. They follow a script, one so predictable that once you see it, you'll start recognizing the same warning signs today. The Romans thought they were eternal. The British thought their empire would last forever. Every power in history believed they were different. None of them were. This matters because it's not just about ancient history. It's about the blueprint that determines which nations rise, which fall, and which are standing dangerously close to the edge right now. If you understand the pattern, you can see where economic power will flow, which currencies will hold value, and where the next generation's opportunities will actually be. When empires decline, they experience currency collapse, inflation, and vanishing middle-class wealth. Political polarization grows, institutions crumble, and new powers rise to fill the vacuum. Most people living through it don't even realize what's happening until it's too late. By the end of this, you'll see the 5 threads that appear in every imperial collapse, the same ones quietly shaping the world around us right now. The first thread is military overextension. Every great empire falls into the same trap, expanding until they can't afford to defend what they've conquered. Rome's borders stretched more than 5,000 miles. By the 3rd century, the military ate up 3/4 of the imperial budget. The more they spent defending their borders, the less they could invest in the infrastructure that made them great. Eventually, the cost of defense became the cause of decline. The British Empire did the same. By 1914, it maintained troops in 57 countries. The Royal Navy consumed nearly 40% of government spending. After 2 world wars, they couldn't afford it anymore. Within a generation, India was gone, and the empire unraveled. The Soviets followed the same pattern. In the 1980s, they were spending nearly 1/5 of their GDP on military power, propping up client states. Fighting in Afghanistan, trying to keep pace with American technology. It broke them. The empire collapsed almost overnight. The pattern never changes. Expansion becomes overreach, and overreach becomes ruin. The second thread is currency debasement, the silent theft that destroys empires from within. When rulers can't raise enough revenue, they cheat. They dilute the value of money. Rome again leads the example. In Nero's time, a denarius was 95% silver. 2 centuries later, it was only 5%. Prices exploded. Soldiers demanded payment in gold. Trade collapsed into barter. The economy rotted from the inside. Spain, after flooding Europe with silver from the New World, went bankrupt again and again because it couldn't stop inflating its currency to pay for wars. Revolutionary France printed its assignats into worthlessness. It's the same move every time. Print, devalue, collapse. When an empire debases its money, it's a signal that it can no longer create real wealth. It's producing the illusion of prosperity, and once people lose faith in that illusion, the entire system unravels. The third thread is extreme wealth inequality. In every dying empire, the elites separate their fate from that of the nation. In late Rome, senators owned vast estates while ordinary people starved. The wealthy built private armies and fortified villas. They stopped defending Rome because their wealth and their loyalty were elsewhere. The Ottoman elites did the same centuries later, investing in European banks while their empire crumbled at home. When the elite decoupled from the nation becomes hollow. The rich protect their assets instead of the state. The poor lose faith in the system, and the society begins to fracture, which leads us to the fourth thread: political fragmentation. This is when the center can no longer hold. Rome's 3rd century crisis is the perfect case study. 50 emperors in 50 years, most murdered by their successors. The empire splintered into regional states that only pretended to be Roman. The Holy Roman Empire repeated the same slow disintegration centuries later, until it was just a map of local rulers and meaningless titles. And the Soviet Union. One day it was a superpower. 3 years later, 15 nations had replaced it. Empires don't collapse because they're conquered. They collapse because they lose internal coherence. Once people stop believing the system serves them, power dissolves from the inside out. And that opens the door to the fifth and final thread, the rise of a challenger. Power hates a vacuum. When one empire fades, another always steps forward. Rome's fall made way for Byzantium. The Byzantines fell, and the Ottomans rose. The Ottomans weakened, and Europe divided their spoils. Britain declined, and America took the mantle. In 1945, the US was the exact opposite of a declining empire, financially strong, politically united, militarily unmatched. But that same cycle now seems to be turning again. China is rising. Dollar dominance is being questioned. Military commitments stretch across hundreds of bases. Inequality grows. Political division deepens. The echoes are unmistakable. So what do Rome in 117 AD, Britain in 1911, and America in 1945 share? At the moment of their greatest triumph, all 5 threads were already in motion: overextension, currency manipulation, inequality, fragmentation, and the rise of a rival. The pattern is mechanical. Empires grow, mature, decline, and die. But recognizing it gives us power, because while history suggests decline is likely, it's not inevitable. It can be slowed or even reversed if a civilization chooses to break the cycle. That means limiting overreach, defending the value of money, narrowing inequality, restoring political unity, and facing rising powers with realism, not arrogance. Most empires don't make those choices. They double down. They tell themselves they're exceptional, right up until the end. The real question isn't whether you live in a rising empire or a falling one. The question is, now that you can see the pattern, what will you do with it? If this opened your eyes, make sure to like, subscribe, and join the discussion. Which of the 5 threads do you think is the most dangerous sign of decline? I read every comment, and the debates here are always worth hearing.